Hi everyone, and welcome back to Lotus Lifestyle. Today I am here with a video on something that I think is very important but never realized it was as important as it is now that I have experienced it. Today we're talking about emotional safety. Recently I was in a situation where I felt extremely uncomfortable. I felt emotionally unsafe. Physically, I was in a room full of people, safe environment, no physical threats, but emotionally I was shaken, felt vulnerable and uncomfortable. Basically, what happened was I felt in danger, emotionally. Again, physically I was perfectly fine, but emotionally I felt raw. So today I have some general precautions that are actually meant for training purposes in the workplace, but I spun them so they can apply to your emotions as well. First and foremost, your safety is always your personal responsibility. This is true if you are in a lab with a Bunsen burner and the fire is on. You obviously know there are things that you can do to prevent a fire from starting. The same goes with your emotions. If you know something will trigger you or set you off, it's best to take precautions beforehand just to make certain that you are in the most safe place possible. The first tip that they recommend is be attentive to your surroundings. When it comes to emotions, we are constantly put in situations that are either out or inside of our control. If we walk into a room and you feel the energy of the room, you automatically know how that energy is going to affect you. So if you have a day where you are feeling a little bit down on yourself, it's probably best not to put yourself in a situation where you feel that your surroundings may affect the way that you're feeling. Tip number 2 is to obey safety signs. This to me means when you are in a conversation and you feel that little tug on your heart saying something isn't right, you should listen to it. If at any point you feel uncomfortable, again, your emotional safety is completely your responsibility. This is the point where you say, okay, this conversation is making me feel uncomfortable. I'm either going to politely excuse myself or take other precautions to continue to keep yourself feeling emotionally safe. Tip number 3, always keep the lines of communication open with a coworker, employers, or other employees. This is very, very important. When you are in that space where you feel emotionally unsafe, you want to be able to have somebody that you can reach out to right away, whether that is a family member, a friend, maybe even a coworker. You want to make sure that you can put yourself right back in a safe position by reaching out to them. Even if it's as simple as, hey, I'm feeling uncomfortable, or hey, I had a conversation today that made me feel a little bit uneasy. I always encourage sharing your experiences with a friend, and I think that this is a perfect opportunity to bring yourself into that safe space that you are used to. Tip number 4, ensure ladders are secure and steady before climbing aboard. I look at tip number 4 as always treading lightly on something that may make you feel uncomfortable. Whether this is revisiting a place that you've been in the past or going through with a new experience that maybe in your head seems a little bit scary. Always tread lightly, take care of yourself, and make sure that what you are doing is safe and sound before you go ahead and proceed. Tip number 5, the absolute most important tip out of any of the ones that I've said, is organize your tools. This is the most important thing that you can do. Always when you are in a situation, as I said, it's your responsibility to pull yourself out of a position where you feel unsafe. If you know what tools you have to do so, then you are in the best position. If when you feel unsafe and you don't know what tool to use to pull yourself out of it, that's when things happen where you get those kind of experiences that you can't really take back. Tip number 6, if something is wrong, stop the machine immediately and get assistance. This is kind of the red alert point when you are in a situation or conversation where you feel completely unsafe. It's best to just stop right then and there before you get in too far and you're feeling seriously get hurt. This is when the blow-ups happen, the breakdowns happen. This is the point of no return. So when you feel like you are reaching that point, immediately stop and get assistance. Whether, again, this is just taking a minute to breathe and just regrouping, or if this is reaching out to that friend or coworker that you had on speed dial in case this situation was to occur. Going along the lines of that is tip number 7, and that is come up with an emergency plan. So again, if something happens and you feel in that emergency situation, you know exactly what to do. You'd have a step-by-step system to say, okay, let me reset, reboot, reach out, whatever it is that will bring you back to that safe place immediately. The next tip is practice fire drills. While this is a little bit unconventional for our situation, I do think it's important to plan for if you are in the situation that we just previously mentioned. Practice makes perfect, they say, and you can never be too careful when it comes to your emotional safety. The last tip is fire extinguishers must be available and readily attainable. What I would say is use this analogy for something that makes you feel completely safe. If you think about a fire extinguisher, that is kind of the last resort when you have a fire going. The thing you're going to go for is the fire extinguisher. So when you are in a situation where you feel completely uncomfortable, you can't remember your plan or anything else, reach for that fire extinguisher. A fire extinguisher may be something like a crystal in your pocket, a piece of jewelry, item of clothing, or even just a thought of a place or person that makes you feel completely safe. So that when you are in that emergency situation, you can get to it very quickly and it can calm you down so that you can move forward with your plan. Emotional safety is something I think is very important. If you follow my quick tips, then you will be able to enter into any situation and feel like you are completely capable of keeping yourself safe. You deserve to feel safe and loved and in a position where you have complete control over your life and your emotions. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week with a new video. Bye-bye!